Welcome back. I want to talk some Evercade, some news updates that came out over the weekend. But first, let me point out something that I went to their cartridge page and I noticed that 4 cartridges are labeled Legacy, which I believe that means that they're just discontinued. They're not going to manufacture them anymore. There's always a possibility that they could manufacture more in the future. It's probably due to licensing running out, so if they relicense them, they could. But it might be that they're just done making them. And so if you want to get them, you'll have to either find them at a store that's still selling, has some of these old games in stock, or maybe on the secondary used market. Those games are Namco Museum Collections 1 and 2, Technos Collection 1, and the Oliver Twins Collection. So Saturday, they had a Q&A over on their Discord. And several of the employees from Evercade, from Blaze, actually gave some interesting information. Now, in some cases, they just kind of give you like, oh, this might be possible in the future. So you have to take some of this with a grain of salt. But there were some things that I thought were noteworthy. This was a long discussion, hundreds of questions. I have about 50 or so that I'm going to highlight. So first of all, it was asked that they're looking to add retro achievements, and Ryan from Blaze said that it's something they're considering, but if they did, it would be something they did their own take on. Sean talked about the limited edition theft, how they are, trying to get everything done and out, and that they are a small company. Blaze, they only have under 10 people. So that is really interesting that Evercade only has 10 people. So kind of puts it in perspective. And speaking about the update on the Evercade EXP limited editions, that they're, of course, still working with the police. And they're going to try and give weekly updates if they have any new information, and they're going to work on different stuff, to make sure that they can find, differentiate the stolen stock from stock that is not stolen, and as well. Ryan talked about something that's old, but people are asking about, maybe because of the XP. So there are tight cartridges. There were cartridges from the very first batch, almost 3 years ago, as he said, that were 0.3 millimeters too wide. And what they found is that in most cases, if you just put the cartridge into the portable and take it out up to 5 times, it'll basically, I guess, shave off enough of the plastic so it will fit. And it's not an issue for the VS, apparently, as a larger cartridge slot, but the portables, they don't want the cartridges wiggling around in. And he went on to say that, to give some more information, that it was 7% of all carts sold over 2 years ago that have this issue, and it's only the first editions of carts 1 through 11. He also talks about how if you put a flat edge device like a knife and twist it, it will pop out and it shouldn't happen again. So interesting kind of hack there. Just use a butter knife, right? Ryan was asked if they have a new release date for the limited editions that were stolen. He says nothing as of yet, but we're already 3 weeks into production, so it looks like it's on track. So you're probably looking early 2023. Will there be a final update for the original handheld? And the final firmware for Neon got a bit more features, he says, added and effectively ready for testing. However, we will likely delay it till January, February to focus on immediate bugs with the EXP. And that goes for the VS as well. There's a VS update in the works. And someone asked if the update for the EXP can fix current issues with light bleed and headphone problems. And he says the firmware update should be able to fix that. So I don't know how you say this name. Ibat? I'm just going to call him Bat. Okay. So Bat from Blaze was asked if there's any way to differentiate the stolen units. And their plan is to email a unique certificate to Euro customers who have, so that, the European limited editions were not stolen. They were already in a warehouse. So they're talking about giving them a certificate to say, hey, this is not stolen. So like if they're selling it on eBay or something like that, I assume. Okay, will the Capcom collections be released as a cartridge? So the Capcom games are included with the XP. He says no current plans at the moment. Sorry, but we have some great licenses already licensed carts for 2023. And here, this one might be the most interesting to some retro game fans. Will we see TurboGrafx-16 PC Engine games on the Evercade? I totally see this happening. I love TG16 and emulation has been ready for a while. So could we see some TG16 games coming up in the new year? Possibly. How about more native games that are original to the Evercade, like Cathedral? And he says, yes, 200% more native games are coming in 2023 and 2024. Beyond. So when he says 200%, I wonder if there's one, they have a game set up for 23 and one for 2024, or maybe more. We'll see. Any plans to enable dip switch, I better be careful saying that, dip switch settings for the arcade games, both Capcom and the other carts? And he's like, yes, in the new EXP update and VS and OG, we're doing a menu overhaul. You'll be able to do specialist advanced game settings to start with, game mapping, and forced 50 hertz PAL switch. So that means like if a game was designed to run on a PAL, TV, they can actually force it to run on that kind of that megahertz or whatever the PAL. So it runs the way it was originally designed to do. Because sometimes when you transfer a game from one format to another, it runs faster or slower or something like that. And then Sean answered this question: will soft cases or screen clean cloths be up for sale? Cases for the XP they're talking about will be up in 2023. Cloths, they're looking into that. They did it as a promotion, but they might look into it. What was the motivation for making the special purple edition? And Sean basically said it's for collectors, just to see what they think. And there might be more of the VCS coming, so they might have a new VCS coming with a new color scheme or something like that. When will you be announcing new carts? Ryan says early 2023. The full lineup is effectively signed up now. Can we ever take screenshots talking about the EXP? Yeah, it's an idea. We already have a facility where you can take your own screenshots of the game and have them shown in the game details. Sean answered this question. They were asking about paddle or trackball controllers and basically said they haven't found good enough value or USB capable of doing it. So basically, and that's why they haven't had arcade sticks either, or unique controllers, because they really put a focus on value. So if they can't get it at a good price, they're not going to do it. So who knows what the future holds? Can we have a way to make homebrew only on devices like freeware? And Ryan says we're working with another number of game making engines to provide Evercade export target to enable more people to get their content on the Evercade. More news TBA. So if you're a homebrew game maker, they might have something interesting to say in the future. Anyone consider gently sanding the side of their carts with a nail file? So he's talking about those tight cartridges. People have done this. Simple slight sand does massively help. If you do insert the cartridge and it's tight, just plugging it in 4 to 5 times will work if it after the fact. So you can sand it, but it's probably not necessarily. So apparently in the XP, the L2 and the R2 buttons were not mapped for the PS1 games, and they said that that's going to be fixed in a new patch. Any plans for the Capcom games on the VS? And this is something that interests me because I like to stream, and I stream with my VS, and he says there's some plans for early 23. But no promises. It would involve the EXP. So I wonder if somehow you plug the EXP into the VS and then you're somehow able to play those games, like it unlocks them in the VS or you can download them or something. That would be a welcome addition for me. When will the light bleed be completely resolved so I can order a new quote unquote good one? There's something we are working with, and this again is for the XP with firmware. However, we also asked the factory to make some improvements a week ago. So, big question. What is the vision of Evercade? And Ryan says that we have plans for Evercade to last for at least 5 years or more. There's no end in sight at the time. I talked about accessories, and they talked about possibly a Tate grip coming up. So that would be interesting. How many new collections will there be in 23? At least 12, at least a dozen. Is there any chance we'll see a couple more PS1 games on the Evercade? That's likely in the future. Yes, says Sean. Any possibility for Sega CD games? And Sean says Sega CD is tricky at present due to BIOS being required that aren't currently licensable. So basically, no, not right now. Any plans to do anything with Sunsoft? We're always looking for the best licenses. Sunsoft would be amazing. That's from Bat. Let's see. The hidden game menus for the EXP, will they make it to the VS as well? Should be a part of an update in the new year. Are you offering cart replacement service for ridiculously tight carts? As above, only the first 7% of the cartridges were affected. We found if you insert them 1 to 5 times, they do loosen up. However, support is ready to handle cases on an ad hoc basis. So basically, it sounds like they want you to fix it on your own, but if you can or whatever, they might take care of you. What's the most popular cartridges? And Ryan says Xeno and Pico 1 were always fan favorites. However, Cathedral and Alwa is picking up the pace. So interesting to find out about that. Talking about the light bleed, there are a number of units with more than normal amount of light bleed. This is something we believe we can improve with firmware. However, we already notified the factory to remove the light bleed completely. The pre-production panels didn't have this issue due to a high nit count on the screen. It does show through. it's something we're actively working on. So the Lightbleed, again, being addressed there. Ryan also mentioned that they are working on more RPGs. Does EA now owning Codemasters kill a Codemasters 2 collection? And he says not effectively. Anyone reported a bug where the game starts in Tate mode first? And Bat says it will say Tate in the top left of the menu to tell you what mode you will be in when the game launches. So some games on the EXP will launch automatically in Tate mode. Here's some questions that I'll kind of go back and forth. Are you looking into adding something like a game library where you can browse through every available game in the console menus? Yes. Will there ever be an easier way to play a card combo game? Hopefully. Are translated game descriptions and controls planned for 2023? Possibly. Will you look into high score saving for console and arcade games? It's on our list. All right. So let's see. Is there any custom button layouts on the EXP, and it's on the roadmap for 2023, hopefully earlier. We have our eyes on some old PC games for the Evercade. That's from Ryan. Let's see, they were talking about integrating weekly challenges to the UI of the consoles, and it's been discussed. Also, Ryan talks that it's not impossible that they might get some Disney games in the future, which makes sense. Like At Games has had Disney games on their stuff, so I'm sure Blaze could as well. We will no doubt be talking to Namco in the future, so it will be conversation brought up again. Not sure what that question was in relation to, possibly being able to play the Namco games on the VS, which you can't do, or maybe even future collections or an arcade collection, so who knows what the future holds there. Did the Capcom partnership help you in any way with conversations with other big names? And he says yes, so who knows? Maybe they could talk to a Konami or an EA, who knows? Can we expect more lines in the future, like a gold line with AAA retro gaming? We have some gold coming up. Now, what could that mean? That's kind of ambiguous. You know, they have like the red series for like consoles, the purple for arcade, the light blue for the home computer. So a gold series, it could be a best of, it could be the best games, it could be who knows, or maybe he's just saying we have some AAA titles coming up that will be included in other collections. Is the Activision 2600 really confirmed, or are you putting us on? It's not confirmed, says the Bat. It's a long story, which involves me having a contract with them ready to sign, and then someone at Activision stopping the deal because another commercial arrangement. Bum, 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 bum. Don't say never, but you're not probably going to see Activision anytime soon. Any plans for a possible Midway collection? And it says or is it too big of a hurdle? Ryan says size of the hurdle doesn't matter. We'll try our best. Would it be possible to make a compendium of all collection manuals in one book? Oh, like an annual or an Evercade Bible? So I guess that's a possibility. Any chance of supporting an external controller through a USB port on a handheld? It's been toyed with over the years. I don't think we'll do it, though. It's a bit impractical. And I can agree. That's kind of like, that would be hard to use. I think 12 cards a year is too few now. Even if it's not feasible. This is a tricky one. We'll go up a bit, but we don't want to overwhelm people. So they'll do more than 12. Will there be dip switches for auto fire in the arcade collections? I would love to have an auto fire option for some of these games. Yeah, replied above, but it's immediate. It's on the immediate to-do list at some point. Any future support for remote 2 players between two EXPs? There are some concepts. Any way to access secret games that require 2 carts on the EXP, like Cart 1 and Cart 2 of the Mega Cat? Dual cart will be a VS thing, but we are working on new ways to unlock games. I'm guessing Comcast is making the ZX Spectrum not possible. No, it's good whenever we can license stuff for it. So they got the ability to emulate it. They're just looking for games, I guess. This message was deleted, but they're potentially working on some never translated stuff. I think that'd be really cool to see games that were originally only in Japanese translated to English. Let's see. Ryan says, I did a lot of legwork on something that wasn't whatever. Ultimately, we felt custom controllers wouldn't translate, so we didn't take it further. Make no mistake, Jerry Lawson is a legend. And so he's talking about I think it was a Fairchild F. Someone said if they could do a Fairchild F collection, and they looked into it, but that's what they're talking about. The controller just wouldn't work. Someone probably asking if the Atari Jaguar might show up on the Evercade now. He says it's gone a long ways in the last 12 months, so who knows? Any possibility of a Data East 2? Sure, why not? Hopefully that would be an arcade one. Certainly a few follow-ups lined up for 2023. So some of the collections, you'll see some sequels, like we've got Atari 1 and 2. Maybe you'll see an Atari 3 or maybe another collection, you know, you could see a follow-up to that you've seen in the past. I'm sure they'll have some original ones too. So there you go. I kind of, that took me over an hour to put together all these answers. I hope that gives you some insight. Personally, the thing I'm most interested in is the fact that, one, and this wasn't in the Q&A, but some cartridges do get discontinued. And two, that TurboGrafx-16 looks like a strong possibility for the future. I'm also really interested in having some originally Japanese or non-English games translated. I think that would be a cool thing as well. And of course, looking to seeing the new lineup in the new year. What do you think? Let me know in the comments below, and I will see you next time on the next No Swear Gamer video.